Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, an unimpressed GSA gives consulting firms a new deadline in its quest to terminate contracts. And a new DOGE CIO looks to reduce the Labor Department's IT office by 30%. It's Friday, April 18th, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you will hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. The General Services Administration is not happy with the top 10 consulting firms that it asked back in February to self-identify contracts that could be terminated to save the federal government money, going as far as to call their efforts under the initiative insulting. Josh Gruenbaum, commissioner of GSA's Federal Acquisition Service, wrote in a letter to those 10 firms viewed by FedScoop that GSA and its contracting partners are, quote, unanimously unimpressed with the cost savings that those contractors identified in the so-called scorecards that they submitted after the agency called for the termination of government contracts with those top consultants. As a result, the agency is calling on those firms to submit a second waste review by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, with their proposals demonstrating how they can lean into developing taxpayer-friendly pricing with dramatic price reductions. Gruenbaum wrote in his letter that, quote, in good faith and with high expectation, we offered firms the opportunity to join us in reducing wasteful spending and do their part in addressing the twin issues of the federal debt and deficit. The efforts to propose meaningful cost savings were wholly insufficient to the point of being insulting. The original letter from February identified the highest paid consulting firms with the federal government, which are set to make about $65 billion in fees in 2025 and beyond, according to GSA. Those firms are Deloitte Consulting LLP, Accenture Federal Services LLC, General Dynamics IT, Booz Allen Hamilton, Leidos, Guidehouse, Hill Mission Technologies Corp., SAIC, CGI Federal, and IBM. In other news, the Labor Department's new Chief Information Officer is looking to reduce staff in the Office of the CIO by about 30%, according to a source. Hundreds of people currently work in Labor CIO office, but leadership is hoping many workers will voluntarily leave the team. Thomas Shedd, who was appointed to Labor's CIO role last month, is optimistic that the goal will be achieved through the federal government's deferred resignation program and reduction in force efforts, the source said. Going forward, Labor's Office of the CIO plans to focus on systems used to disburse benefits, as well as programs required by law that need business systems and software to work, according to documents that FedScoop viewed. There will also be an emphasis on efficiency and consolidating systems while providing value, the document said. The department told employees that they're not tracking staff despite media reports and that the agency is only interested in measuring results. Still, through the planned reduction, several offices may see smaller staffs. Meanwhile, Thomas Shedd is wearing multiple hats within the Trump administration, simultaneously serving in a role leading the General Services Administration's Technology Transformation Services. Shedd has also previously been active in efforts to close down some of GSA's tech-focused programs, including 18F, a digital service team that assisted with projects across the federal government. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back next week with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.